Hello everybody and welcome back to another quick Dwarf Fortress Adventure Mode tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be covering the basics of crafting and the very beginnings of survival. If you find the basic crafting in Adventure Mode to be a little bit sparse for your liking, I'll also be sharing some ideas on how to expand the crafting and make it more in-depth later in the video. This is a brand new adventurer. This is Shem. Shem is a dwarf that has absolutely no gear whatsoever, and aside from just the basic clothing and water skin, and a couple pieces of food. We're going to, using the crafting system in Dwarf Fortress, build ourselves a basic tool to chop down trees and hunt wildlife, and then from there, we're going to hunt some wildlife, butcher them, and I'm going to talk about what you can do with the pieces of the animal in the crafting screen. Let's get started. Now, if you would like to see the basic options for crafting, hit X on the keyboard. It pops up this screen. Or alternatively, you can click on the Craft or Butcher button down at the bottom of the screen. Once the screen's open, you'll see that there is a couple of different options here. Once again, they're all very simple, but we'll be talking about that at the end of the video. What we're going to need to do is we're going to need to assemble a stone axe. So the first thing I'm going to need is pebbles. And now, if you hover your mouse around and you find these little spots, or alternatively, simply move your dwarf to a spot that has pebbles, and then press G, you can pick up a small pebble, or a small rock. Or alternatively, right-click on the location where your character is and click Get Small Rock, or, of course, press A on the keyboard. Now we're going to need two of these, so let's click a second one, Get Small Rock, and done. So now we have two small rocks in our inventory. Just to confirm, they're both in my hands. This will only work if they are in your hands. So if you have a weapon equipped or something else in your hand, you won't be able to take the two of them out. In order to craft, they both need to be in your hands. So press Q on the keyboard if you have weapons equipped to put them away, so that you can then press R on the keyboard and remove them and put them in your hands. So if I needed to do that, just as an example, I'm going to press P on the keyboard and place these two items into my backpack. Then what I'm going to do is press R on the keyboard, or alternatively, go to my inventory and scroll down until I find the pebbles, and then click Remove this item. That takes it out and puts it back into my hand. Of course, I could do that with the keyboard and press R, scroll down, and click on the one that isn't currently in my hand, because the one in my hand won't show up, and now they're both back in my hands. So now what I can do is click on the Craft and Butcher, and then I'm going to click Make Sharp Rock. What that does is it allows me to combine these two rocks to sharpen one with the other one. So, take the first rock, combine with second rock, and now we have a sharp rock. We still have another rock in my inventory, specifically sitting in my hand, the sharp mudstone, as well as the small mudstone rock. Now, this can be useful if I want to throw it at something, but that's about it. So, I'm actually just going to drop the extra. I'm going to hit D on the keyboard, and now that I have these two rocks in my hand, I'm going to go back over the mudstone pebbles, and I'm going to click and pick up a third one. This one's going to go directly into my backpack because the sharp one and the current blunt one are both sitting in my backpack. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to place the sharp mudstone in my backpack. And then I'm going to remove the other dull one. And then I'm going to hit X on the keyboard again, and we're going to make another sharp rock. Then the extra rock, I'm just going to drop on the ground by pressing D on the keyboard, and then selecting the blunt rock, or opening up the inventory with the I key, or clicking on the backpack icon, and then dropping the small mudstone rock. So now we need to find a tree. Now that I've found us a tree, what we're going to do is we're going to look up. Now I can do this by pressing plus or minus on the numpad, or scrolling the mouse wheel up and down. When we're directly below some branches, I can right-click on the branches and click Pull Alder Branch. Now, if this happens to be a fruiting tree, I could also pull fruit out of this tree, which is just a tip for you. Now, if you are wondering why the trees that might be a fruiting tree, like say a peach tree, doesn't have any peaches on it, it's likely because it is in the middle of winter, or spring, or fall. Because things are only ripe during their given season, you must wait for things to be in season. So we're going to pull on this alder branch right here, and now we have a branch in our right hand. So, to reconfirm, if I open up my inventory and scroll down, we now have both a sharp mudstone and an alder branch. Now, the sharp mudstone basically works like a knife, essentially. We're going to be using it to whittle this branch. I'm going to go back down to the crafting menu. I'm going to click on Carve Wooden Halve from Branch. We need an edged item and a plant branch. So we have a branch and we have an edged item. If I had a knife, a sword, or any other kind of sharp item, you can usually use that to carve the halve, with a few exceptions. So I'm going to take that alder branch and the sharp stone, and now I have a halve. The next thing I can do, once again, this is all very basic, is I can take that halve and that edged item and assemble a stone axe. Now that we have our axe, I can use this to hunt game. I can also use it to chop down trees. Chopping down trees is used in the building screen, which is currently not available in the beta, at least as of the time of recording. But just for the sake of completion, I'm going to show you how to chop down a tree. First, you have to make sure that you are outside of the areas that are controlled by settlements, because those trees are all protected. And now I'm going to die to wolves. Don't mind me while I do my best to run away here. Fortunately, both the wolves missed me. Just going to jump a second time. That one actually tore my muscle, so we'll see if I survive. Got a little bit of bleeding going on, but we're getting a sprint on. Come on, run away, bud. Typical adventure mode. We can make it. I have zero faith, but I'm sprinting and hopefully my endurance holds up. Good news, I'm not dead. All right, let's go and chop down some trees on the other side, where hopefully things are slightly safer. Let's walk over to this tree and chop it down. And the tree falls over. Now that we've completed that, what I'm going to do is now that the tree is down, you'll notice that we're probably gonna start getting hungry pretty soon. So let's go find us something that we can eat. We're going to go to the travel screen, and I'm just gonna go to the beach because there's often some smaller game on the beach. Just as an example, crabs. Speaking of crabs, this is a little hermit crab right here. So, because they're quite weak generally, you're always going to need an opportunity to train up your skills a little bit, so we're going to attack this crab. I'm going to hit Shift A on the keyboard, or alternatively, I could click on this button down here, Strike or Wrestle. Then I'm going to go click Strike. The exclamation points indicate an attack of opportunity, so a higher chance of damage, and I'm going to see what my options are on here. I'd have to bite it. Well, I think I'm just going to whack it with my axe. And I missed because the crab jumped. Don't ask me how the crab jumped, but it did. I smack it a second time by bump attacking, just by moving my character into it, and I slap the horseshoe crab. Then we're going to move up forward, and I'm going to hover over the butchery and crafting option. Now I have this, butcher. Now that I've butchered the mangled horseshoe crab corpse, we can then look at what's on the ground. I'm going to press G on the keyboard or right-click on the ground. Now I've butchered it, but unfortunately, hermit crabs don't have bones. Weird, right? Now, I can get the meat, and it's now in my hand, and I can eat the meat by hitting E on the keyboard or by exploring my inventory, and I'm sure that was satisfying for our little adventurer here. He is, after all, satisfied at work, although those wolves were pretty traumatic. Now I need to go find me something that I can kill that also has bones. So, I will report back when I've found one. Success at last, potentially. Look at what we have here. We have this collection of badgers. We're gonna sneak up to it very carefully and slowly, and see if I can quickly execute one with my little wacky stick. We're gonna walk directly up to it. I'm gonna find the chubby badger, because who doesn't want a chubby badger? My dwarf's getting a little sick. We're also kind of thirsty, but that's okay. I'm going to aim for the, oh boy, let's go for the head. Even though it's a difficult strike, you want to get it where it counts. We actually did hit it. We're gonna bump attack it again, bump it attack it again, and bump attack it again, just by moving onto the character. And just as a reminder, when you are attacking things, you can either click on this little sword icon down at the bottom, and then click on the creature that you're fighting with, or you can hit Shift A. I'm just gonna hit it in the upper body, whack. I'm silently hitting it to not wake up the others while stealthing. Now that Chubby Badger's been struck down, I'm gonna step on top of it and hit X. Once we butchered it with our axe, I can then hit G. Now, as you can see, it's actually dropped some food. It's also dropped some bones, and we're gonna pick up all 10 of those. Then I'm going to hit the butcher option again, and we're going to craft bone. Now this allows me to make bling and figurines, and this is a very good way to get your adventurer started with some funding. Because you need money, or at least trade goods, to be able to get better gear from shopkeepers, or other things. So let's make an earring, and let's click on the crafting option again, and make ourselves a bracelet. Now, if you, for some reason, would like to make a figurine of an event, just select the figurine option, go through your tools again, and then you can make one related to anything. Let's just say fire. Nope. Now this is basic crafting and butchery. After all, it is extremely basic. The default options for adventure mode crafting are very limited. However, if you would like more expanded crafting, I recommend mods such as this one. This is a mod that adds a bunch of different crafting options into the game. Of course, it does need to be loaded into your world gen when you generate a new world. I'll be making a tutorial and overview of mods like this in the coming days, in the next one. Don't forget, subscribe to my newsletter. It's a Patreon alternative. It's gonna have much better perks than my Patreon currently does, and I get 100% of the revenue, unlike Patreon where they take a cut. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one.